The story of The Exorcist begins with an ordinary life descending into an extraordinary nightmare, one that blurs the line between faith, science, and the supernatural. Set primarily in Washington, D.C., the narrative follows a young girl, Regan MacNeil, whose life changes dramatically after she begins exhibiting disturbing behaviors that no conventional medicine or psychology can explain. Regan is the daughter of a successful actress, Chris MacNeil, whose career in Hollywood leaves her often alone with her child. Their seemingly comfortable life begins to unravel as subtle, unsettling occurrences escalate into terrifying phenomena. It starts with small incidents, objects moving on their own, inexplicable noises, Regan's sudden mood swings, but soon progresses to more shocking signs of possession. Medical professionals are called in to examine Regan, but her symptoms confound them. She suffers from violent convulsions, speaks in voices that are not her own, and displays knowledge and strength far beyond her age. Doctors run extensive tests, from neurological scans to psychological evaluations, all of which return normal results. The medical community is baffled, and the MacNeil family grows desperate. Chris, terrified for her daughter, faces the grim reality that science may not have the answers. The story meticulously portrays the conflict between rational understanding and the inexplicable. It is this tension, between what can be measured and what cannot, that gives the narrative its lasting sense of horror. Amid the growing crisis, Chris recalls legends and stories of demonic possession, ultimately leading her to seek spiritual intervention. She contacts the church, and the priests assigned to investigate quickly realize that this is no ordinary case. Father Damien Carras, a Jesuit priest struggling with his faith after the death of his mother, becomes a central figure. Carras is skeptical, torn between the modern world's rational explanations and the undeniable Evie. The exorcism continues with increasing intensity, and every moment brings new challenges. Regan's body and mind become the battlefield for forces far beyond ordinary comprehension. Her strength grows beyond human limits, and she hurls insults, profanity, and violent attacks at those around her. Furniture is smashed, objects fly across rooms, and each act of physical destruction carries a psychological weight that terrifies even the most hardened observers. The priests, especially Father Carras, are confronted with the reality that this is no ordinary possession, it is a complete domination of a human soul by a malevolent intelligence. The terror is not merely visual or physical, it is deeply personal, attacking the fears, guilt, and weaknesses of everyone present. Father Carras struggles with self-doubt more than ever. The death of his mother still weighs heavily on him, and the demon exploits this grief, manifesting as voices and illusions designed to undermine his confidence. He sees visions of his mother, hears her taunts, and is forced to question his spiritual strength. The horror becomes a psychological assault as much as a physical one. Carras realizes that the demon's power is not limited to Regan, it can reach into the minds of those who attempt to fight it. His inner conflict is made vivid, showing how horror is intertwined with human vulnerability. Meanwhile, Father Marin, the seasoned exorcist, maintains a disciplined approach despite his age and declining health. His calm, authoritative presence contrasts sharply with Carras's emotional struggle, emphasizing the balance of experience and courage in confronting pure evil. Marin's rituals, prayers, and commands demonstrate the meticulous preparation required to combat a force that is intelligent and manipulative. Every action taken is deliberate, highlighting the seriousness of the confrontation and the stakes involved. The exorcism is not a spectacle, it is a spiritual war with real consequences for A. The exorcism reaches its most intense stage as Father Carras fully confronts the demon. The confrontation is both physical and spiritual, with Regan's body a vessel for forces beyond comprehension. She hurls objects with unnatural strength, speaks in tongues that twist human understanding, and exhibits an intelligence that anticipates the priest's every move. The demon is cunning, exploiting fear, guilt, and doubt. It torments Carras with visions of failure and personal weakness, forcing him to confront his own mortality and the fragility of faith. At the same time, Father Marin's age and failing health limit his ability to maintain control, underscoring the gravity of the situation. The narrative emphasizes the duality of the battle. On one side is human determination, courage, and faith, on the other, a timeless, malevolent intelligence that preys on every human weakness. The struggle is exhausting, relentless, and terrifying, and both priests endure not only physical assaults but also psychological torment. The story portrays the horror of being trapped in a situation where normal rules do not apply, where human strength and intelligence are challenged by an entity that operates on an entirely different level. Every moment of the exorcism heightens the tension, creating a sense of inevitable confrontation and deepening the reader's immersion in the terror. Chris MacNeil watches the unfolding nightmare, her fear magnified by her inability to intervene. Her maternal love drives her to desperation. She prays, pleads, and tries to remain present for her daughter while the entity attacks. The story captures the emotional stakes as vividly as the supernatural horror. The audience is reminded that the battle is not only spiritual but also human, centered on a mother's love, a child's innocence, and the moral courage of those willing to confront evil directly. Chris becomes a symbol of endurance, representing the human side of horror amid the supernatural chaos. St. In the climactic moments of the exorcism, Father Karras faces the demon fully, realizing that the only way to save Regan is through the ultimate act of sacrifice. The entity, sensing its defeat, lashes out with unprecedented ferocity, attacking Karras's mind and body. It taunts him with visions of failure, guilt, and despair, manipulating his deepest fears. Regan, still under the demon's control, becomes the center of chaos. Her body contorts, her voice alternates between childlike innocence and guttural evil, and her strength surpasses all natural limits. Every object in the room becomes a weapon, and the priests are forced to physically restrain her as they continue the ritual, the tension reaching a near unbearable peak. Father Karras makes the decisive choice. Understanding that the demon will cling to him if he does not act, he opens himself to it, offering himself as the vessel to draw the entity away from Regan. This act of courage and selflessness is the culmination of his spiritual journey, a moment where doubt, fear, and personal guilt are transformed into pure determination and sacrifice. The demon seizes the opportunity, inhabiting Karras's body and leaving Regan free of its control. In a final, horrifying display, Karras uses his physical body to cast the demon out, but in doing so, he falls victim to the entity himself, plummeting to his death. The horror is complete yet purposeful, illustrating the profound cost of confronting evil and the extraordinary strength of moral conviction. Regan, finally freed from possession, slowly returns to her normal self, though the trauma of the ordeal lingers. Her innocence, nearly destroyed by a malevolent force, is restored, but the psychological and emotional scars remain visible. Chris MacNeil, her mother, experiences both relief and overwhelming grief for the loss of Karras, recognizing the enormity of the sacrifice made to save her daughter. The resolution of the story is bittersweet. The immediate danger is